close up. I see Paul Revere's in the house, and I see Thumper's getting a last minute munch down.
Hey, Chris, you're in the islands.
I am. Look. Yeah, I missed the warm weather, and I saw that I could use that as a backdrop. I thought, yep, that's the one I'm grabbing. How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. How about you?
Just ducky. That's good to hear. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm happy that tomorrow's like new day in history. A page is turned, and we can get on with things. Like, let's do this and let's just get her done. I want to see some politicians in orange.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You don't want to know how I want to see it.
Well, you probably have the same idea I do too, but I'm being polite. Some of them literally are not going to live long enough to wear orange on.
Yeah.
Sadly enough. I mean, like I tell people, some treason is a death penalty offense. So there's a reason for that.
Or life imprisonment.
That's Vector.
Hi, how are you? Sorry.
Yeah, meet Victor. He is one of our newest PSB guest hosts, and he's been helping me on Hyperdrive along with Paul. He's a good friend of Paul's. Paul's known him for quite a while.
Oh, yeah, I heard him on air the other night. It was really good. Anyway, I'm going to let you guys do that. Say good night to everybody. Tomorrow's a new day. Hope to see you Election Day. We're going to be hanging out on, I think, Magus Wagus show.
Well, it is Election Day for the East Coast now. The poll will be opening up in a few hours from now. So, let the fun begin.
Yes, good to meet you, Vector. You guys have a great night. I'll be tuning in on the other computer. So, bye, all. Much love.
You too. Take care. Lots of love.
Yep. Thank you. See you tomorrow. Bye.
And good evening to Vector and Paul, and to the rest of our crew out there in the live chat. See, we've got quite a crowd over there in D-Live chat and Twitch chat, and also a pretty good crew out there in the YouTube live chat. Anybody else listening on any of the other platforms, we want to welcome you to the Monday night going into Tuesday morning Hyperdrive, and we're so glad that you could join us. So yes, let the fun begin, because on the East Coast of the United States, it is Election Day, and the polls will be opening up here in a few hours. And I'm sure the excitement and the anticipation of this day is coming to a crescendo. And it's going to, the next 36 hours, get ready for a good, this is going to be better than, I don't know if it's going to be better than a ride in the backseat of an F-18, but it's going to be close. All right. So that's the best I can analogy that
F-35 Lightning 2A.
There you go. But I haven't ridden in one of those yet. I have ridden in the backseat of a Blue Angel F-18 though. So
Trump's talking about them all the time, Thumper. He's always talking about the 35, the F-35.
Oh yeah.
This is no obsession. There's something in this. I need to know what this 35 is. I do.
Well, the F-35 is highly advanced. They came out with the F-22 Raptor first, and they were developing the 35. And I think that a lot of the technology that went into the Raptor also made it into the F-35. And
stealth fighter as well. It's also got the F-35 Lightning 2B, which is the vertical liftoff.
Yeah,
different plane. I've studied this a lot too, even though I'm from Australia. But I study all these weapon systems as closely as, because our country's buying a whole heap of these. And as far as I'm concerned, people think I'm crazy. I'm thinking Australia should use its wealth to invest $1 trillion into defence. Australian dollars, which is around 700, 800 billion US dollars. And it helps on top of what we're already spending, and that includes a lot of the Joint Strike Fighters, which has had a lot of problems over the years with like not being on time and lots of other things, but you may be able to comment on that.
I will, but we need to kick the tires and light the fires on this thing. So,
pardon me. Yes,
we're gonna get that done here. So, time to make the announcements.
And then mash those ions.
And would all attendees please board the Hyperdrive craft? We will be taking off momentarily. If you would please stow all your gear in the appropriate, either under the seat areas or the overhead cabinets. If you have any pets with you tonight, make sure they are in a Hyperdrive approved pet containment system, if you would please. And if you brought any food with you, I hope you brought enough for everybody, because I don't have any. Anyway, all seat backs and chairs in the upright position. 3, 2, 1. Buckle up. All right. Well, we have arrived safely at 40,000 light years. I hope you all enjoyed the trip. And we are ready to rock and roll on another edition of Hyperdrive. Just a couple of announcements here at the beginning. I have managed to get a few of these episodes, recent episodes, uploaded onto my YouTube channel. So if you haven't been over there to check out the YouTube channel, I will give you a link to it. And you guys can get over there and check it out. So I'm very, very appreciative of those of you that have taken the opportunity to go check out the YouTube channel, and a lot of, we're picking up a few subscribers in a day or so. I'm not sure if I've made it over 1,000 subscribers, but that's kind of the goal right now, is to make it over 1,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel. So trying to get some content up there so that you guys can have a reason to go there. Isn't that good? All right. And so we've got Paul and Vector with us tonight. Good evening, guys. How you doing?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Picked up a little sinus allergy in the last day or so. So I'm working on a little bit of Benadryl here right now. Seems to be helping quite a bit. Anyway, yeah, it's that time of year, getting out and sweeping up all the leaves and stuff, and that always seems to kind of get to me. All those leaves sit up there, and they collect all that stuff all summer long, and then they fall on the ground and dry out, and God knows what's on them. So anyway, good evening, guys.
Exactly. I went and did some hay baling. I'm a city boy, and I helped a friend out, and it was the hardest day's work I've ever done. And it was a very dry, dusty, and windy day. And I think for 2 weeks, I just had a nose full of black. But it was very satisfying because it was helping an elderly family, a farming couple, and on the Sunshine Coast. And it's just paradise there. So, yeah, I totally get what you mean with hay fever.
Thumper, have you checked your Discord?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I've been switching back and forth between a whole bunch of different things. When did I miss the call?
This is pretty big. I think maybe we should wait a little bit. This is huge.
Okay.
So, what do you think?
The photo in there?
Yeah. What do you think, Vector? Do you have a segue into this?
I'm looking at the things that Thumper sent me, timestamps of the flag pic that Hugh just posted very recently. We've got 65,115 is the dimensions there. We have 6, 5, 11, but if you add them all up, you get 17 straight up. And there's also these 114 references we've been getting a lot lately. So we've got 6, 5, 11, and 114, but altogether they add to 17. Very interesting. That's something that I'd say straight up. But I've got so many other things to say, but I guess maybe you can segue into the topics, and then I'll start to comment because I'm just bursting with information.
Yeah. Go ahead, Thumper.
No, I was just saying. Okay, you've got you're referencing here Q post 4949. Just a moment here. Let me get it up. Yeah. Yeah, and that's what Vector was just talking about. There's the bread links 114, 114, and then 2222223 are the links to the bread on that. That's kind of
crazy because we've got 114 there, and then the 4 2s and 3, which means something to Paul and I because we've been talking about this all day today, and then this comes up, and I'm like, are you serious? And other things that we were discussing. We were discussing things today, and then I looked at gematria on the president. I looked at Keystone in particular, Pennsylvania being a very important state, the Keystone state, as you know. State, yeah. And then we're coming up with things like Magic Square. Now, this may not mean anything to you and your listeners, but Paul was just sending me all the stuff about Magic Squares a few hours beforehand, and he goes, I
seem to recall,
and then I'm starting to listen to the president. Crazy.
Have you ever seen the Disney cartoon Donald in Math Magic Land?
Yes, and all the Masonic stuff that they're teaching you there.
Yeah.
That is like Walt Disney was a Freemason, in case people weren't sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And they're not good people. And he was a big Nazi too, like an actual Nazi. Walt Disney was not a nice man. Okay, let's put it that way. And I don't want to get into the conspiratorial what's going on in.
Also a pedophile as well.
Absolutely, he's a pedophile. Or maybe I will. Maybe we'll talk about Disneyland and underground tunnels and how children go missing and things like that. I just don't want to get us banned. But that's what's going on there. That's why they build those facilities. They are child trafficking hubs.
Yeah.
And all of the symbolism, everything that they look at. Look at Fantasia. They are telling us exactly what they're doing because they have to. Remember, we've talked about this in maybe not the last show, but the one before, where these people have to, via universal law and their own sick, satanic, twisted religion, they need to tell us exactly what they're doing. And then if we don't do anything about it, well, then that's our own problem. But they can do it in such a subtle way. They can do it through gematria. They can do it through symbolism. They can do it through numbers and coding because they know that these numbers mean things. And this is the whole point of what I do. This is it. This is to show people, look, they are trained from birth to do this stuff. They are mocking us. They are twisting reality. They are coding reality by everything they do, the predictive programming. And there's codes everywhere. This is why you shouldn't just dismiss the things that we're saying because they are very important. There's so many deep codes here. Some people see the superficial ones and some people see the deeper ones.
Mm-hmm. So, Paul, what are you thinking there?
That's not actually right. You have the quag up there right now, right? So actually just type in the term keystone into the quag. For some reason, the link didn't transpose. And that's what I'm double checking on, why the link didn't transpose.
What link?
The link that I had that you just clicked on to get to this page.
Oh no, this is my
okay.
My bookmark page. Okay. So when you type in keystone.
Yep, stop. You get post 2633, right? In the center. That's a 9 and a 3. And 6 divided by 2 is 3. But if you scroll down a little bit, we've got a picture there, right, of all that. And then at the very bottom of what Q says, what's it say?
You have the keystone.
Yeah. And
then, well, let's see. It says an earlier post says find the keystone.
Yeah, and when you write keystone into the geometric org, which is the other link I sent you, right?
Okay, just a second here. Let me open that link up. Okay.
Yep. Now scroll down. We'll go back to reading those because they're probably going to be important. But if you keep scrolling, there'll be the next section of results and simple. Now stop. Now you have. I can't see it on your screen. I think you have to, go down to right at the very last one that you have at the bottom of your screen says Magic Square.
Yeah.
At position 1100, result number 1100 on the right-hand side, it says that's what those numbers mean. So the 3 columns are the Jewish, English, and simple gematria, and then the right column, very far right, is the result number, which they can manipulate using AI. So if they want a particular thing to come up before or after something else, they can get the AI to do the required number of searches so that it comes up at that spot.
So I'm going to reiterate this for the audience. When you type in Keystone to the Geometry search, you get Magic Square. Now, if you would like to show the Magic Square, Thumper, this is the last photo I sent you.
You want to bring that in?
Yeah.
We were just talking about this.
Okay. Now and the whole reason is, I believe this is talked about in Donald in Mathmagic Land. That's where I remember this from, in that cartoon.
So this, sir, is the keystone. And then when you add the numbers, you get 7 and 2 is 9, and 12 and 13 is 25. So, and
notice
you keep
that
going
all the way across. So you go horizontal, vertical, or diagonal, and you can add them all those numbers up, and you get 34, which is pi 3.14. So 34, 3 point. That point is 1. So, you go 7, 13, 10, 4, diagonal. You go 14, 8, 3, 6, all the way along. I haven't done all of them, but I did 80% of them. They're all 34.
So you can go.
Which is 7, which is 7, obviously, which is 7. So this is the 7 magic square. You also have a 9 magic square and an 11 magic square, which is way more deep.
Okay, so
complex. And I won't go into that into the show because, like,
I'm sorry. So if you add any one of these in a straight line, this way, this way, this way, this way, this way, any one of these,
you get 34, which adds to 7. So you go 14 plus 1 is 15, plus 12 is 15, 20, 27,
right.
7, 34. So 7 and 13 going diagonal.
Sorry.
Is 20 and 10 is 30, is 34. You go, you see where I'm coming from? Any which way you want to look at this. That's why they're called the magic squares.
Right. Very cool.
This is how your free energy is generated too. If you don't satisfy this sort of stuff, and through root mathematics, the energy flow won't happen and you won't get the outcomes that you want.
And read down the bottom of this. This comes from a temple in 945.
I can't read it, bro. It's too tiny.
Okay, what it says here is from a Jain Parshvanath temple in Kanjalaro, India, dated 945 AD.
Kanjaharo, India, 945 AD.
And at the top it's a photo 3 of 3 and 1044. Which 144 is a post.
7.
Significant
4
post
and 4.
in the Q posts.
Yeah. 44.
Interesting. Very cool.
So we just found this. We're pretty stoked. We worked on it together. Without the collaboration, we would have never figured out what the keystone is. Now we have to apply it. And if there's anyone else in the audience who wants to apply it, go on.
That's coming. I promise. That is coming. It's early days, and I didn't know how this connected yet, but there needs to be an article written, a blog where we can connect these things carefully and closely with everything that we find, and just so that people can see what we're doing.
Yeah, literally 12 minutes before the show, we found this.
It's that's why I never plan this show, because I always find something very unique at the last minute that tends to make the whole show roll. You know, it's kind of weird.
I wish I could read the comments in chat right now. I can't, because if I switch over, it kicks me off.
No, neither can I.
Well, let me read a few of them for you. Is Vector the speaker from Corey's Digs? Have you been on Corey's Digs before there, Vector?
No, I've never been on any kind of program like this ever. I've only ever been on 8kun and Vote, and I've been acting as an anon for 3 years longer, but officially as an anon for 3 years.
Okay.
So don't worry about my Australian accent. I'm a US anon. I'm on loan to the United States, and I'm here to fight for freedom, because I know when the United States is free, we can all be free. And America first. That's what that means.
Yep, it does. Yeah, Vector is as far as being on the internet on a live channel like this. This is he's only been here. This is your third appearance with us here, Vector, and they've all been fantastic. So I hope that you're enjoying this as much as our audience is enjoying having you here.
Thank you, sir. Yes, I am.
Awesome. But a couple of things. What makes it the Keystone, says Hazel L. Do you have an answer for Hazel there?
What makes the Keystone? A number of things. There's not just the Keystone State. Oh, sorry, Paul. Do you want to go first? You might want to.
What makes it the Keystone is that when we come across that photo in our life on the 1st, and the photo was given to me at a sacred place, from a sacred place. And then when we back loop this whole thing together, it ties in. And why would so why don't we step back a sec, Vector? And you were doing a decode on another Gementra, right? And it came up with JFK Doc Keystone, right?
That's right.
And that's
we were talking about the Keystone, and so I had to look at this, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to look at this Keystone, because I know that we've been in the Keystone State in Pennsylvania. Remember how Trump does things? He does things through symbolism. They can't just tell us. For instance, a few days ago, Q posted a repost of Q post 14, I do believe it was, and it was George Washington crossing the Delaware in the Durham boat, and that was related to the Battle of Lexington and Concord, and Trump just happened to be at that place where that was launched. So this is the kind of symbolism that we're talking about. So I went to Keystone. Anyway, I went to Gematrix, which is basically the Google of Gematria. So if you're wondering why I'm using this, this is what it is. There's another one called Gematrinator. Sorry, Paul.
But wait a second. Didn't he say cherry growers in his
cherry
speech?
growers? Exactly. So he's talking in his speech, and he mentions the word cherry growers. And this is just so random. The president does not do this by accident, by random. When you hear something like that, just totally out of the blue, and you think that Trump's just like, he's not like Joe Biden. He's not your crazy uncle. This guy knows exactly what he's doing. So you've got.
Let me guess. That was at Traverse City.
Yes, it was. That's right. Traverse City, Michigan, I do believe, and it was freezing cold. Yeah. So the president's always talking about freezing his up.
They have a big cherry festival there.
And that kind of stuff. So if I go quickly to cherry growers, pardon me, just wait a minute. I'm just bringing this up.
I just sent it to you in Discord, Thumper, the cherry growers, which is what he's going to pull up.
And I did send this to Thumper earlier beforehand. I sent him about 6 or 7 different phrases that the president had been talking about. So if I was to quickly discuss those just briefly, the things that I sent to Thumper were the word trending. Trump was talking about Twitter, and he kept really laboring over the term trending, how he's always been trending, etc. When he labors on things like this, that's where the data point is. And then you have glamour, another data point, and then we had another data point, which was the F word. Now, F word for me immediately brings up that show, The F Word, with Gordon Ramsay, who's probably deep state. So expect to see something to do with Gordon Ramsay. I'm calling it now, very, very soon. Another thing here we had is Gladhander when he's talking about Joe Biden, and aviators when he's talking about Joe Biden. But going back just quickly, we had cherry growers, 1788. Now, if I remember my history, 1776 happened, and then there was another war happened in 1788 in the United States, and that's when the Constitution was changed. Can anyone help me here?
With 1780, well, the War of 1812 was
something happened in 1776, and then again in 1778, and there was a change to the Constitution from memory in the US. So it wasn't just 1776. There was more to that. It might have been in the 1800s. I'm not really sure, but there's more here. But if we're looking at cherry growers just on its own,
88 in US.
Interesting. I've got this up here. So we've got 788, 1092, 182. You come up with a few things. The mathematics of the universe, they're giving us hints all the time as far as this particular coding system. I like to go down when I don't see things straight away.
And remember, 1788, that adds up to 888. So we got three infinities.
Just split them. Just think 17 is Q and 88 is Trump. If you just put Trump in the Gematrix calculator, it comes up with 88. The first one that comes up is Trump. So every time you see 61, it's going to come up with QAnon and Dorian and stuff like that. So you just need to recognize these few numbers. Like 55 is JFK Jr.
So anyway, we got Q and Trump in the number, and then
okay.
Can I go through? Sorry,
hey guys. Okay. What I want you to do though is as for our audience, you're kind of going over here and then over here and then over here, and for the audience to keep following that, they're going to lose their place. So kind of explain as you're going along here how you're doing this. Okay.
So I've taken a data point, one that's an obvious data point that seems out of place, a misspelling, something like that, and I've chosen the phrase cherry growers. And if you look at the Traverse, Michigan speech, you'll hear the president say that. I would use the English and simple gematria mainly. There is stuff in the Jewish. The first things that I see is the storm is here. That's the third result down. Then I have a look at hidden in plain sight, approximately the sixth or seventh down. Then darkness to light. There's a Q proof, straight up. Darkness to light. I have a look at cashless society, and I think about what's happening with the quantum. Pardon me, Thumper?
Okay. Okay. Under which gematria does it?
That's cherry growers. So go to gematrix.org, cherry growers.
Is it? Okay. Wait a minute. Okay. I've got the site up. It says cherry growers. It's got the numbers. Is it in the Jewish, the English, or the simple?
English. It's in the English.
Okay.
So if you go approximately halfway down the page,
all right,
you'll start to see the results at result 3.
Okay, the storm is here, hidden light, Lord, December 13th, light of the world, hidden in plain sight. There we go, dark to light. Wow.
Cashless society. This is linking into the Great Reset. That's code for they want to take all of our money and they want to digitize everything, which can go two ways. Cryptocurrency is going to be a godsend, and so will be blockchain, but it will also be a tool of enslavement for us, just like the internet was. So they don't quite necessarily realize just how important all of this is. So cashless society, the end of the world for them, the elites, God's chosen children. the horoscopes decide. The divine triangle, remember, God is in the shape of a tetrahedron. You have the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit creating the triangle. And when you connect in 3 dimensions, that triangle into one point, you end up with the Almighty. The septenary cipher. We were talking the other day about how 9 equals 7, and people in the comments were like, how does 9 equal 7? How is September 7? Because sept is 7. In chemistry, in the Roman calendar, it used to be 10 months, and September used to be the 7th month. So September is essentially 7/11 as well as 9/11 esoterically. Let's move on here down to the results. We have a look at the Rothschild family. Synchronicity. Again, Jessica Rothschild. November 4th, when they're going to open everything up and they're going to declare the coronavirus conquered. Assassination attempts, kill Donald Trump, beast out of the sea. We have biblical references here that we're talking about from Revelations, the 10 crowns. Planned Parenthood, they're gone. They're gone. They're selling baby parts. The black community, you know what's going on now. You know, Black Lives Matter. What about the 300,000 black lives that matter that are aborted every year in the US? Dark Side of the Moon. Then we go down here, Dancing with Demons, and then listen carefully. This is something that I sent to Paul, and we have something here that's not spelled correctly. So whoever put this in spelled it JFK Docs Keystone. They had no spaces and they were grammatically incorrect, essentially. So what does that say to you? I've seen this many times. They're getting your attention. This is part of the code. They get your attention by making spelling mistakes and that kind of stuff, not just in tweets, but also in the gematria, because it's not normal. Why would you be misspelling something like that with no spaces whatsoever? Do you understand?
Okay, stop for a second. So basically, he was decoding. Vector was decoding the cherry growers out of the speech. He sent that to me, and he highlighted this particular one and another one. But when I looked at it, I saw Keystone, and we were trying to figure out what did it mean. The docs were the Keystone, and I took out all that other stuff, and I was going to put JFK in there, but I waited, and I said, oh no, I'm going to put Keystone in. And so the Keystone I put into my search, like you guys did QQuag, and then he put it into Gematrex, and that's how we ended up with the magic square. But see, someone I was with,
and it's just come up.
Someone I was with on the first, I actually took a picture of the magic square in the same location I was in, but I didn't see it. And then they gave that to me, and then. So that was on the first, which was a couple days ago. So we're led back into a circle. That's how we know that we've been confirmed from our locations to what we're seeing in these gematras and everything.
You still there?
Yeah, that's fascinating. Where do we go from here, gentlemen?
I'm just going down looking at these results, and they're crazy. They really are. You know, playing with fire, the Matrix is real. Thunderstruck, which brings me back to that meme where President Trump has a promotion with Thunderstruck playing in the background. You know, Make America Great, bit of truth, mag, bit of truth. No quid pro quo. The kingdom is at hand. False flag operation. Expect some bad things to go down. If you live in the United States, please be super duper careful. What's that term? Head on a swivel. The election is now. It's right now. This is it. This is your last chance. We in the rest of the world, we can't vote. We can't help you in that way. This is your way to help everyone else, especially yourselves, and free everybody. Remember, America first. We can't all be free unless you're free. That's why people in other countries are trying to help, because we are already enslaved.
Yeah, I guess that what I want people to remember too is that the world is enslaved, and by us doing what we do, in the United States, and they're the leader of the free world. Ever heard that? That we can free the rest of the world. And why that's important, people forget that our brothers and sisters are spread across the planet in different locations. We're not just in the United States anymore. This is where we go one, where we go all, and we're everywhere. we're not just in the United States. So let's just remember that. The glory might be in one place, but doesn't mean that we can forget our brothers and sisters entrapped in other places.
This may sound crazy, but I've sworn my allegiance to my own country and to the United States of America and the Constitution, defending her against all enemies, foreign and domestic, because you are the allies of Australia and you are a security umbrella. So where you go, we go. Where we go, one, we go. Well, I'm prepared to fight and die in the service of the United States. And I don't say that lightly, because I want to defend my own country, because I know that we don't have very much longer.
Can you tell me what you wore at the voting booth in Australia?
Or you're breaking up. Can you repeat?
I was saying, could you tell me what you wore at the voting booth in Australia?
Right. So I lined up. I live in Queensland, and it's just full of retarded lefties, obviously. Too many people in the city in Brisbane voting Green. And with the coronavirus, from the analysis that I've seen, the incumbent is not going to be voted out. Donald Trump is going to be voted in by a landslide. That's the default. We're going back to Australia. The leftist Labor government was voted in Queensland. This is the most corrupt government in the history of history. 5.1 million people with $100 billion in debt. This is one of the richest countries on the planet. We're literally like the Arabs of the South Pacific, and we're struggling for $1. It should be like Norway, where we've all got $100,000 in the bank or whatever it is. Now, I walked into the voting booth, and everyone there is not really interested in accepting how to vote cards, which is great. And I'm thinking, I'm not really sure whether my electorate voted Conservative or not, but I walked in. I didn't want to have any trouble. I did all of the social distancing. I even did the gel on the hands, which really pisses me off, but I did it anyway because it was a lovely young guy that was administering, and I didn't want to say no. So I thought, yeah, I'll play the game. Then we got up to the voting. I got my stuff. No voting ID required, as in every other year. No voter ID required. I got my thing in the mail, and they scanned it, and they asked me what my name was, and they asked me my address, and then they gave me my voting card with a pencil, obviously clean, the coronavirus clean. So I did my pencil. God knows if they want to just fucking change it, they can, but that's just not a thing. I would have done it in pen if it was me. But moving on. So I finished voting. I voted for, the Conservative. I voted for probably I can't remember, but it was one of the motoring, fishing, freewheeling sort of parties, because they're sort of like know what they're doing. Then One Nation, which lost a lot of votes from the elderly people apparently, and that's where we had a lot of hope. And then I put my next preference to the Liberal National Party. And then I had an independent, some Italian guy, something Cacciatore, Anthony Cacciatore, and then I posted my next vote for the ALP, Australian Labor Party, and the Greens last, which of course are the crazy leftist Liberals and watermelon heads, green on the outside, red on the inside. And it's very surprising to me that there was a huge swing towards the Australian Labor Party, who are the incumbents in Queensland, and they've got no fucking idea what's going on here, trust me. They've pissed away all of the country's money, the state's money anyway. We're one of the most resource-rich states. We need to open up all of the gas in places like the Galilee Basin and hook it up with all of the pipelines like Trump's been doing in the United States, making Australia energy independent, which we could do in a heartbeat, on our asses, easily. You decide you want to be energy independent in Australia, if food independent, everything independent, you can do it. So then we also need to implement the Bradfield scheme, which is what they really should be doing, but no one's got the political will to do it. That's connecting all of the water in the north of the nation through weirs and dams, environmentally friendly with fantastic new technology, all of the turbines all along the way that create all of the hydroelectric, and this powers all of our industry.
Very interesting.
This is how we could be transforming Australia. This is how we make Australia great again. Please continue. Sorry, I'm going on, but if you put me in charge of our country, I guarantee that I will secure our borders. I will make us energy independent. I will make sure people start loving our country again. Does this sound familiar? Does it sound like anyone we know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And what did you put on your head after you left?
Oh, sorry. As I'm walking out, I put my "Make America Great Again" hat on. And I walked out past probably 150 people, and they all shit. And they're like, "How the hell is this person in like the bowels, dug into a pillbox deeper than an Alabama tick in Queensland, a patriot?" And there's just all these crazy zombies everywhere. And nothing like Victoria, but it's like Texas, but everyone's just so stupid and brainwashed. Maybe it's like living in Austin. I don't know.
I want to give everyone the context here. We have a man who's in another country who he's not American. Have you ever been to America? I don't know. But
no.
Listen, he's a patriot of America, and he's in another country. He's rooting for us. He's wearing a hat that he would be completely ostracized for wearing. And on top of that, he'd get jeers and looks. And we're talking about in a place they all propagate continuously on the news about how awful Donald Trump is. So everyone's walking around, and this guy comes out of the voting booth with a "Make America Great" hat on in another country, and this is where we go one, where we go all. This is the world united. This is huge. And
I'm a unicorn, and they hate me, Paul.
Tell them what you told me about when you take a shower. I mean, just, what you do, not necessarily cleaning yourself, but what you do.
What, sing, more importantly.
Yes, you sing what?
I sing what President Trump comes in every single time, and I'd love to be able to record my voice because I was an extremely crap singer, and I'm getting a lot better because I sing that song, God Bless the USA, over and over and over, because I've listened to 5 rallies in the last 24 hours.
So we got an Australian.
I know all of the words, So
we got an Australian who's singing "God Bless the USA" in the shower in Australia. We are one. We will not be divided. We will win. With God.
Not forsake you. There's not many of us, but like those that freed the United States from the tyranny of the British, that was only about 20-25%. And they were anons, and they were delivering messages to people all around. And then there's the Midnight Ride of Paul Revere. Funny I'm talking to Paul Revere. Funny everyone calls themselves Midnight Riders. And like Q started posting those 2 lamps in particular, the 2 witnesses, if you didn't know exactly what that meant. There's so much more going on here. So if you just think that you've seen everything, you haven't. You just haven't. There's so much.
Well, I'll tell you what. For you,
stuff going on here, and there's a lot of people in the background doing things that you haven't seen.
For you,
yeah.
Listen up.
If tomorrow all the things were gone, I'd work for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife. I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, where the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, oh, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston, New York to LA, where there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say, to be an American, where at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me, and I'd gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt of this. God bless the USA. Next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless
There you go. There's my
All right, and the accompaniment there was
crap
from
singing.
Vector.
Well, I'm crying, so thank you, Thumper.
That's from an Australian. So just so that you know how much we love you and your country, we will fight and die for you.
Well, I tell you what, it is what is going on right now is absolutely it is most definitely biblical. It is most definitely involves the whole world, but we got to get the wheels back on the wagons here, and before we can get out there and make it happen for the rest of the folks. So we got, today is D-Day, so to speak, when it comes to that, because we got to make sure.
Was that embarrassing for me?
No, gosh, no. Everybody was, I have had many people on shows when we play a particular song or something, sing along with it, and it the music drowns out most of it, but you can tell that there's somebody singing in the background.
I really can, just so that you know, I'm the real deal. If look, I'm planning very much on coming to America and becoming a citizen at some point. I'd like to remain a dual citizen, but I have no intention of joining the government, put it that way, ever. Not like some people.
Okay. Now, I've got another article here that came up, and I want to kind of add it into the pile tonight. Let me put it on screen here for everyone. A little Tesla stuff. Tesla Power Hub, a lesser known Tesla's energy product to control assets. And you see a little diagram here. Today we look at a Tesla Power Hub, a lesser known Tesla energy product to monitor and control energy assets at a large scale. Tesla's well-known energy products are the Powerwall, PowerPack, Megapack, solar panels, and solar roof. Earlier this year, we also learned of AutoBidder, Tesla's platform to autonomously monetize battery assets. But this new product is not alone in Tesla's suite of energy software products. This week, I was reading a job opening at Tesla that listed all the company's energy products, and one of them that I'd never heard of came up before that I'd never heard of before caught my eye. In quote, want to engineer rich user experiences that are Megapack, PowerPack, Powerwall, Tesla Solar, Solar Roof, Power Hub, and Auto Bidder products. Power Hub. So I did some digging to find out more about it. I thought I'd share what I found on Electric Readers. Tesla Power Hub. The Power Hub was first mentioned as part of Tesla's launch of the Megapack, its biggest stationary energy storage product to date. Tesla describes the product. Power Hub is an advanced monitoring and control platform for managing distributed energy resources, renewable power plants, and microgrids. Power Hub is deployed and in use across Tesla's fleet of over 1 gigawatt hour of operating commercial sites. Customers ranging from facility managers to power plant operators use Power Hub to maximize operational efficiency, uptime, and asset value. Power Hub covers all common elements of supervisory control and data acquisition. SCADA is the acronym they've used for that. Symptoms and offers standard customizations to meet operational needs of small, large, or virtual power plants. Here are a few screenshots of the Tesla Power Hub interface. And we're going to have to take the reader off in order to see these things. And so you're looking here at some of the different stuff of this Tesla Power Hub. And again, when you look at this kind of stuff, think control. What do they want to do? They want to control, monitor everything, through, the guise of efficiency. And wherein if you take and if you advance this stuff out, it really boils down to control. Okay, because you humans are so inefficient. Okay.
This makes me think of Post 64. Somehow that got brought up, and it says, hopefully the lights don't go out.
We talked about this today.
About the lights going out?
Yeah,
yes.
Post
and
64.
We looked at a post specifically. That poll specifically brought to my attention. And I'm just about to post it to you. And it's Q Post 64.
Let me pull it up here.
There we
Which
go.
is a 3-year
November
delta.
2nd, 2017. So that was like yesterday. Fellow patriots, I'm being advised actions have created accelerated counteractions. We have not yet ascertained the scope of the attack. Watch the news outlets. POTUS's Twitter takedown was not by accident, as referenced several hours ago. And just stopping there, you'll remember when Twitter tried to censor POTUS tweets in the beginning. Should the lights go out, please know we are in control. Do not panic. We are prepared and assets are in place. God bless. I must go at this point for good. Paraphrasing.
Yeah, so I can't remember who I was talking about that Q says I must go for good at this point. I'm a little speechless that
So was that his last post? Was that his last post? And he's using time travel technology. Sorry if you guys don't believe that, but if you haven't looked into John Titor and Trump's uncle and the marvelous adventures of Baron Trump, then you really, really need to start doing a bit of deeper digging.
He's going back to God. He even says it, God bless. I must go for good at this point. God bless. He's going back to God since he's one of God's angels. Sorry, go back. I'm fine. Sorry.
It's 1 and 8 is 9, and you've got 4 and 6. So 9. Yeah. There's so much going on here. This whole thing, this is letting us know that the internet's about to go down. Vote went down yesterday, and apparently it was because the owner of the board putted out didn't clean out some cache, and so we had a 503. If you're into IT, you'll know what I'm talking about. Error. But I don't know that that's necessarily the case, and I do feel like we're under attack, and they're posting a lot of stuff on Vote at the moment saying, can you back everything up? You really do need to, because basically I think this is it, and we're going down probably in the next 24 hours and have so much material on there. So if you've got material that you want to back up, then do so. I've got a website where I've got 99% of the information ready to go to distribute to Anons if the lights go out. But until such time as that happens, just remember that your Twitter's going to go down, your Facebook's going to go down, YouTube's probably going to go down, and you're just going to be fed a heap of garbage in the next week, because they're going to try and say that POTUS didn't win the election. It's a landslide, and it's a disinformation campaign. They'll do everything. Joe Biden has been instructed by Hillary Clinton not to concede under any circumstances. You think about what they're planning. They're planning all kinds of riots. All US cities are boarding up all their businesses. The US is pretty much going into lockdown from a riot perspective. They're anticipating it. And then you have the White House putting up all of those barriers. They're getting ready to go because they know. So there's going to be some bad things going on here. I hope everybody's ready. We will win, but there's going to be some bad things going down over the next week to 2 weeks. So be careful before Christmas.
That's pretty interesting. I've heard the story of the. I'm trying to remember where I saw it, but the White House putting up additional barriers around the White House, basically locking down the fort.
Yeah.
Oh, I know where it was. Just a second here. Let me get it.
I'm looking too.
I know exactly where it was, where it was referenced. Over here at whatdoesitmean.com, November 2nd, a compelling new Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Let me put this on the reader so it just shows up better for everybody. A compelling new Ministry Foreign Affairs report circulating in the Kremlin today, noting the non-scalable fence being installed around President Donald Trump's residence ahead of the 3 November election to create a Fort White House, able to withstand the siege being predicted against it by unconventional conflict expert Dr. J. Mitchell Waller of the Center for Security Policy, who was just warned, in quote, "We have to prepare for these mobs by the tens of thousands, if not more, right in downtown Washington, D.C., preparing to storm the White House," close quote. Says these preparations for election violence are coming at the same time as it's further being warned by fearful expert observers that, in quote, "the weeks following the election could very well be the most dangerous weeks in this country since the Civil War," close quote. And then saying, in quotes again, "We have never seen such a long-standing democracy in such a rich country break down before. Never. But it could happen this year," close quote. Warnings and fearful observations of looming election violence and civil war, all predicated on the assumption that Socialist Democrat Party leader Joe Biden will overwhelmingly win this election and President Trump will refuse to cede power. The most critical to note about these assumptions of a Biden win is them all being based on wishful polling fantasies more comparable to fairy tales than actual reality. A fact that's now caused famed leftist election statistician Nate Silver, yeah, we all, familiar with that jerk.
Absolutely, yeah.
Rush into print a few hours ago his article, in quote, "I'm here to remind you that Trump can still win," close quote, wherein he states, in quote, "I hate it when people use phrases such as Nate Silver is giving Biden a 90% chance or 538 still gives Trump a 10% chance. We aren't giving anybody..."
Wait, 538? Why does he say 538?
Yeah, I saw that too.
538 is the name of their one of their outfits that is doing polling.
Okay.
Okay, that's the name for their polling outfit.
And then up,
polls, yeah.
And then up above, you said he put a new fence up around the White House, right?
Sorry about that. It's a non-scalable fence.
Which is pi.
You can't climb it.
Non-scalable is pi. Not scale.
Think Tesla Energy. Think scalar.
So stop. So go back. Oh, okay. Hang on. Whoa. Non-scalable. They're not fucking around here when they say stuff like this.
There's a digital fence there too. And then I got to thinking when you're reading this, I was like, oh, wait a second. He's talking about Fort White House. Is that Castle Green from Castle Red?
White House, Casablanca. Wow.
Bingo.
Yeah, right here in the second sentence.
They don't use terms like this loosely.
I thought that was really interesting.
And this person source your file, say whatever you want, whether it's whatever booth or whoever disinformation shill you want. It's a very, very interesting source of information, and you should read it. That's what I think.
I read
using discerning. I'm referring to your listeners generally because there's a lot of attacks on this word.
There has,
especially when I read it on Vote, it just gets
a tremendous number of attacks on this website. I have found this website to be very, very helpful.
Awesome. It's great. It's a really good website. But that's why I also say to people, just make sure they use your discernment, and do your research and cross-check things. Don't just take anybody's, not even mine, anybody. Like if I'm talking about gematria or whatever, go to the gematria. Go and prove it for yourself. Don't just take our word for it, because that's wrong.
Exactly.
That's not what the Cube movement is about, freedom movement. It's about doing your own research, making your own decision. We're not stupid. Okay, they treat us like we're stupid, but we aren't.
Okay, let's continue on here. We aren't giving anybody anything. Instead, as former 538 Politics host Jody Arvigan puts it, what we're doing is mapping uncertainty, close quote. And sees this fact being best explained by Associate Professor Dr. Zeynep Tufekci from the University of North Carolina in her just published New York Times article, in quote, "Why You Can't Rely on Election Forecasts," close quote, wherein Dr. Tufekci methodically breaks down what polling is and isn't. And that explains why she truthfully states, in quote, "Voting models are not as scientific or certain as they may seem. There's a strong case for ignoring the predictions," close quote. One of those strongest cases for ignoring polling predictions, Dr. Tufekci points out, is due to the fact that, in quote, "Since many models used polls from the beginning of the modern primary era, 1972, there are a mere 12 examples of past presidential elections with dependable polling data. That means there are only 12 chances to test assumptions and outcomes, although it's unclear what in practice that would involve," close quote. Polling facts explained by Nate Silver and Dr. Tufekci, also known about by election experts, knowing the dangers of cognitive dissonance that occurs when a person holds contradictory beliefs, ideas, or values, and is typically experienced as psychological stress when they participate in an action that goes against one or more of them, meaning one or more of their personal held beliefs, which is why election polls are never considered valid unless they're heavily supported by empirical evidence, which is the information received by means of the senses, particularly by observation and documentation of patterns, with some past examples of this being in 1980, when huge crowds greeted Ronald Reagan and he won that election. In 1992, when huge crowds greeted Bill Clinton, and he won that election. In 2008, when huge crowds greeted Barack Obama, and he won that election. And in 2016, when huge crowds greeted Donald Trump, and he won that election. Which is why in this election, and to prevent one from succumbing to cognitive dissonance, only those polls and models supported by empirical evidence, observations, and patterns should be believed. One such being the highly accurate election model based on past results produced by political science Professor Helmut Norpoth from Stony Brook University that shows President Trump winning the election with 362 electoral votes and Biden losing with 176. A model that yesterday was further supported by the empirical evidence of Biden confusingly rambling to a near empty.
That seems about right.
Parking lot of cars in the key election state of Pennsylvania. Well, at the same time, President Trump was greeted by a cheering crowd of over 58,000 supporters in Butler, Pennsylvania.
Did you see it? I saw it. Did anyone else see it?
What, did a mouse run across the screen?
Parking lot of cars in the key election state of Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Key election state. We're back to Keystone, Pennsylvania. Boom.
Mm-hmm.
He keeps saying it. It's the Keystone State. It's the Keystone. It's the Keystone. How many times does the president have to say the word Keystone where he's, I don't know, he's literally laboring over the point?
Oh, yeah.
He's laboring over the point. Get it in the Gematrix. Have a look at the results. Have a look at the significance. Have a look at the significance of Epstein Island and the Keystone on the top of the temple. There's so many meanings to Keystone that we can go through that probably new people may not know and may not have understood, but like it's time to rehash all of this.
It's surprising, and one of our listeners out here, after the last election, it should have been the death of the erroneous polls, rightly so, that all the polling was wrong in 2016. So why should it be right now?
And then they rehired the Fox pollster. Like, pardon my French, for fuck's sake. They hired the same guy to do the same shit, like who just said that Trump was going to lose last time. He was just talking about this Trump, in his rally like today.
Right.
And he's saying this guy's got his job again. He's got, like, he's serious having me on. Actually, taking the mickey.
And poll is pi, right? So the two I's, P, and then the zeros dropped, and then I. But I don't know why poll is pi, but it is.
Well, if you look at an L, it can become an I easily. I's and L's are the same. Little I's, capital L's, they're the same. So you can need to change them. Same with Roman numerals. You can have a capital I. I means 1 in Roman numerals. So you have a look at things from this aspect and that aspect. This is how people are communicating. They need to get the message across. They're going to do it in the most esoteric ways. They'll do it any way that they can. They'll use AI, anything that we need to do. Don't forget, we are under attack. Everything that we have is being shut down, destroyed. You want to tweet something about Hunter Biden, you can't do it, even if it's the truth. It comes from the New York Post, for God's sake. That's like one of the
let's go in. Let's
oldest newspapers in the United States, and they banned it. So we now we know who wears the pants, and it's not the media; it's the big tech.
Right. Let's go into the rest of the article here. President Trump greeted by a cheering crowd of over 58,000 supporters in Butler, Pennsylvania. A massive crowd that even floored Democrats and caused Pennsylvania's Democratic Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman to tweet out, in quote, "The president is popular in PA. I don't care what polls say," was followed by Biden retreating to his basement bunker not to be seen for the rest of the day. While President Trump kept being greeted by tens of thousands of cheering supporters in places like North Carolina and Florida, the most remarkably to be seen yesterday were the massive spontaneous events in support of President Trump occurring all over America, such as the Caravan for Trump that had astonishingly surrounded the entirety of Washington, D.C., the over 1,000 Trump train vehicles that paraded through the Democratic city of Houston, Texas, the massive Trump boat parade held in San Diego, California, and the massive Trump car parade that shut down the New Jersey freeway. And while viewing the empirical evidence supporting a landslide victory for President Trump in tomorrow's election, being added to it is the cookie poll taken by Locals Bakery in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, that Trump won 3-1 over Biden, and saw its owner saying, "If the winner was chosen today from our poll, Donald Trump will blow it out of the water," close quote. And the monster mask poll taken by Johnny Brock's Dungeon in St. Louis, Missouri, that Trump won by 66 to Biden's 34%. Polls that have proven correct since the 1984 presidential election. And this time around have given President Trump a cookie monster mask vote. Though most to be noticed in this particular category of empirical evidence was the prediction made in the 1980s by the Holy Hermit of Loreto, Italy, that Donald Trump would one day lead America back to God. And we have the Holy Hermit here.
To go back to that, the bakers he's talking about, if you can just go back up a little bit,
local
to the top of the article. And it talks about Locals Bakery in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, like bakery, cookie poll. This straight away seems to me like we're sending messages here to bakers. Anytime I see the word baker or bread in anything that Trump says or something about Trump, then that's what gets my attention.
Yeah, the other thing that stood out was Johnny Brock's Dungeon. What the hell's that? That's really weird.
It might be like a haunted house or something like that.
Who's Johnny Brock?
I don't know. There's a link here. Let's take a look.
And the Cookie Monster mask? Weird.
Mask sales at Johnny Brock's have predicted presidential elections since 1984. So I guess they sell the masks.
So they're obviously selling a lot of Trump masks.
Yeah.
Is this a haunted house that he runs?
I
have no idea.
Sorry to distract you with this, but I don't trust any of these people, and I just wanted to see.
For more than 30 years, the sales of Halloween masks at Johnny Brock's Dungeon have matched up with the outcome of the presidential elections. Ed Brock is the owner of the popular Halloween store in South City today in St. Louis. Ailey Corey interviewed Brock back in 2016 when Donald Trump mask outsold Hillary Clinton mask. The sales have been right in predicting election winners since 1984. Here's what Brock told 5 on Your Side about the sales between President Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden. 66% of the sales of masks, political masks, between Biden and Trump, 66 for Trump, 34 Biden. What this is showing me is that if it stands, if this formula stands, that Trump will win this election, explained Brock. Brock said he's since sold out of Biden masks, but he didn't order as many of those because of the demand. Brock was skeptical about doing the interview this year because of how contentious this election might has been. And so he's just saying we'll have to wait.
I like this poll.
Yeah, they're more accurate than all the other ones. And you look at the ones on Twitter, and I've done a fair few, and they're all coming up Trump like 90% and 95%. So I'm not sure who's voting for Joe Biden, but like, damn.
Let's see. Oh, no, this is an earlier one. Bear with me here a second. Oh, where'd it go? Dang it. Yeah. Let's go back and. Oh, shoot. There we go.
Yeah, I heard of brawl taking place when some patriots took down Biden's sign. So then everyone got in a big brawl in the grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
Things are happening.
Okay, let's see.
Did you see Did you see the picture of the Amish chasing the Biden bus? Actual photo. So Amish carts with Trump flags trailing the Biden-Harris bus.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Okay.
They don't make political statements like ever.
So we had the Holy Hermit here, and then the sisters. According to this report, with it now being warned in America that, in quote, a feeling of alarm and fear about the future of democracy is coming from voters across the political spectrum, close quote. At the same time, radical left forces have vowed, in quote, we are not seeking a return to normalcy. Rather, we see this at the time to rise up against the current crisis and move forward to dismantle the interlocking systems of oppression, end quote. It was chilling yesterday to see Socialist Democrat Party leader Kamala Harris, who, if Biden wins, will be the de facto leader of this United States, reveal her true communist beliefs with her statement, equitable treatment means we all end up in the same place, close quote. The translation for anyone having lived under socialist communist rule is equitable treatment means you all end up in the pile of skulls, close quote. Which caused the Wall Street Journal to publish a few hours ago in their article. It says the coming assault on red states, close quote, that lays out the roadmap against these dangerous socialist Democrats will use to destroy America if they gain power, which they accompanied with their article. Trump has torn the mask off the liberal media, close quote. That gives hope against these vile and godless social forces in stating, in a real sense, the president has defeated the media. No matter what the outcome of this election, the media will never again be able to convince the public that it is objective. Everyone, not only conservatives, knows where it stands. No one knows where it stands, I think. That is the real reason the media hates Trump with blazing white-hot intensity. With this election now being just hours away, this report concludes Biden and his socialist Democrats were just dealt a death blow in the key battleground state of Pennsylvania. That's best described as Philadelphia in the east, Pittsburgh in the west, and Alabama in the middle. To denote its socialist democratic stronghold cities, Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, always being the election defense against the state's conservative voters, but whose city of Pittsburgh fell into President Trump's hands yesterday when its main newspaper, the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, endorsed him, the first time they've endorsed a Republican for president since 1972. An endorsement that adds to the mountains of empirical evidence showing President Trump will win this election. A coming victory further supported by the analytical States Poll organization, whose final prediction map released on 1 November shows President Trump winning 322 electoral votes to remain his nation's leader. And there you have the map. They're still calling Washington, Oregon, and California deep blue. And we have Arizona and New Mexico. Or wait, no, that's Colorado. Colorado and New Mexico. All right. And that is the end of that article. Comments, guys?
I don't think New Mexico is going blue. You can forget that.
I have a feeling that we may be able to turn Washington State red.
Yes. And there's going to be other unexpected things, surprises. Look at what happened in Miami-Dade in Florida in pre-voting. That's unheard of.
Uh-huh.
Like that is a blue section.
There's a real good California red too.
And look at the 55 there. That makes me so excited when I see that. And I think that Californians have woken up and they finally realized that they're like Victoria in Australia. They are a beachhead for conquest of the continent. They start there. They've already taken it over. They indebt you up to the gills. Belton Road comes to mind, especially in Victoria. That's why they're doing everything, because they're involved. They're enslaved to the Chinese. But California's the same, and they need money constantly. They're constantly lighting these fires. They don't clean their forests out. Trump's always talking about it all the time. They're worried about environmental management. They don't give two hoots about that stuff. They want the money from the emergencies that they declare when the fires are on every year, as happens in Australia. Every year, they need the money. This is why they do it. And Antifa is out starting these fires, and I've got all the photos to prove it. I have a lot of photos of this stuff here. Antifa posing, be like water, spread fire, if you've heard that. So they're going around pretending that they're giving water to firefighters, and they're spreading fire through dropping petrol through jerry cans all around the countryside. Now, the last fire season in Australia, they were blaming all kinds of stuff, climate change, and then, there was a whole heap of Muslims that were being arrested, radicals that were lighting fires in New South Wales in particular. So what they're doing in California and the United States, they're doing here as well. So it's a pattern that I recognise very, very carefully. And I talked about the nursing homes, Cuomo putting sick people back in the nursing homes. That happened in Victoria. Dan Andrews did that exactly by textbook. They're doing the same things, not just what's happening there. This is my point. It's happening here. It's a global plan. So back to the fires, back to California. I think that people are going to start to see what's going on. They're going to wake up. They don't want rolling blackouts all the time in a very hot state. We need to have the air conditioning on, and people aren't used to that stuff. Same in Australia. You really, really need to make sure that it's cool. And people in California are sick of this. They have to be. They have to see what's going on in Hollywood. They have to see that President Trump is not a racist. Like, at what point does California flip completely red? The last time I can fully remember is when Ronald Reagan was elected, and basically everybody voted for Ronald Reagan for obvious reasons. The guy was a genius.
Yeah, the interesting thing about...
He first coined the term "Make America Great Again," and there you go.
I was going to say the interesting thing about Reagan, he was the other president that was a movie actor and who was basically free from them. He must have known what was going on. And on top of that, he was quite vaunted through the first 4 years, and some stories broke, and the whole news media narrative completely changed right after his second term started. So I see this as a little bit of synergistic, happenings.
Synchronistic correlation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is intense. And then I was looking at the map. I saw a couple of states that had as dark blue, but they're actually like Maine and New Hampshire. Those states are really close usually, and they just never broadcast it. They just say, "Oh, these are Dem-controlled areas," when in essence they're only like a few percentage points either way. So they could actually be battleground states, and even though there's not a lot of electoral votes in those places, they're still important when you look at the overall scheme. And that's why you see Trump going to all these different places that you think, oh, why is he going there? Why is he going there? Well, he's going there because this is about the numbers. So this is about the numbers.
He just needs to flip one or two normally blue states, and it's a game changer. We're focusing on Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Arizona, Georgia. These are key states, especially Pennsylvania. You win Pennsylvania, you win. You win Wisconsin, especially in this particular case, you win. And Trump's been saying this. Like, I don't know if other people in the US follow US politics probably as closely as I do, but we need to watch every state. Every vote counts. Some of these states were won by 10,000 votes, 40,000 votes, and that's including all the voter fraud and everything like that. Now, this time around, I believe that they are really watching this. Trump is talking about they are watching, especially these shitty governors in some of these states, especially when they're locked down. And he's saying, we are watching you, and just be careful with your voter fraud because we're paying attention. This was today. So they can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
But we have NSA watching. We have everybody watching.
If they think they're going to get away with voter fraud this time, they're sadly mistaken, because they've got the, you know, like you said, NSA watching, but they've got the fusion centers watching, which are under NSA control. They've got all these other places. Huh?
Poll watchers, which they're trying to keep out. They're trying to make sure that they're not even allowed to go in, because a lot of these states are Democrat states, and they can control the votes. So, and did you see the footage of the post office with all of that mail, all that shit in there? They haven't even processed it days before. It's been there for like a week.
Yeah, that's crazy.
A scam, bro.
Yeah.
Let's bring on the blockchain. Let's hope that they've encoded. Because China's been printing like crazy. But if they're going to print these ballots, wouldn't they print them in such a way that they're like the money? So they've got all of these encoded security features in the paper, and they've also got like scannable ability, and that all leads to this new blockchain voter system that the post office in the US has a recent patent on. Like, don't you think that the quantum voting system's already in place? The quantum financial system's already in place. This election is not being stolen.
Oh, yeah.
100%. It's not being stolen, my American friends. I give you my word as a man. I'm telling you now, there's no way that it's being taken away this time around. And if it needs to go to the Supreme Court, well, guess what? We got Amy Coney Barrett, the notorious ACB, in the House, and she's a Catholic with 7 kids, 2 adopted black Haitian kids, which they're trying to give heaps of shit over. And that just puts attention on Haiti straight away. It takes a village. You know, she took 2 as Trump trolled her. It's all coming. These people do not know what they have in the post. And it's really exciting. You know, I've been seeing it from very early days, and I was hoping and praying that something like QAnon would come on. We didn't really need Q. Q is the icing on the cake. We were already doing this work beforehand. We are the digital soldiers before the term digital soldiers was even coined. I've been doing this for so many years now, and I know Paul has been too, and lots of you out there. Never give up, never give in. We're going to win. Today is D-Day.
I can't get rid of the stubborn gene.
Semper supra, always above. Always above.
What happens when the root race gets the double stubborn gene?
Well, this is what you get. I'd like to quote that scene from The Big Lebowski, when the Vietnam vet goes to the little boy's house, and he's like, I know this is your homework. I know this is your homework. This is what you get when you F a stranger in the ass. And he goes out and he bashes this kid's car. And he thinks it's his car. It's a neighbor's car. But it's this whole thing that this is what you get when you F a stranger in the ass. He's going to have a whole heap of patriots. Have you seen those boat and car and train, like just everything, you know? And then you have all of the Trump people.
Nothing gives like the great wave.
That was basically trailing the Biden-Harris bus. That was so good. I had to send it to everybody on you.
Nothing gives like the great wave that's going to come back and swallow them from what they've created. You know, the equal and opposite.
How many posts has Q posted red wave? And that was early. And we thought this was to do with the midterms. No. And the D5, again, D5 is the highest level of avalanche. An avalanche, which is a landslide. Like, yeah, it is, right?
5th dimension.
The D5 is the landslide. This is 11-3. And isn't there some football game in Seattle, just like predicted on The Simpsons? I would say, well, the fuck away from there.
Yeah. Seattle's not a good one, is it?
Because there's some predictive programming, 11-3. I'd be super duper careful. I wouldn't go anywhere near Seattle and anywhere near any football games, that's for sure. Seattle Seahawks, I'm just doing this from memory. I don't really know.
Sorry, you said
Is that
football.
right?
Don't go anywhere near. Hey, I'm with you, man. I'm laughing because you said football games.
Don't go. Don't do it. Don't go. Have you ever seen that movie, The Sum of All Fears? Same plot. And that's what Q's been posting, Sum of All Fears. And I went on and watched this movie, and I'm like, this is the shittest movie. And
I'm seeing symbology.
Russians
I'm seeing symbology.
Weapons to Israel, when it gets stolen, and then there's a nuclear weapon stolen, and then they use that to create a false flag event at a stadium where there's a football game playing, and the president's there, and he manages to get out, and it's not like a nuclear blast, as if that's even possible. Anyway, so it's very interesting. They've been playing this in The Simpsons, 11/3 all the time. There's a lot of this stuff. Same with 9/11. So if you're looking at the next 9/11, you look at 11/3. So today, you have your heads on a swivel. You be very, very careful. They're going to pretend it's a nuclear attack, but it won't be a nuclear attack because they're not fucking going, and that's no good.
Let's hope that gets averted.
But let me finish. That there will be real fire. There will be real destruction if it happens. And I hope that I'm not being prophetic here. But I'm just saying to you that like this is supposed to be a false flag of false flags, and it's supposed to be a simulated nuclear attack, but it won't be actually any nuclear fallout. And you know they can say that it's radioactive up the wazoo. You think that they've bullshitted with the coronavirus, man?
Well, if you go to
tomorrow we'll have another conversation. Hopefully it doesn't happen.
If you go to post 64, it says that he's not convinced that the lights will go out, right? So he's not saying that it will happen. He's saying that it might happen. But
is this Q? Because I missed the first bit. Is this Q that you're saying this?
Yeah, on 64. On post 64.
He never said 10 days of darkness. Anyone that says that has not read the Q posts, and they really need to take a good hard look at themselves. Okay, what he said is 10 days, full stop, darkness.
But what I'm saying is he's not saying,
K of darkness. And if you look it up, that's a book related to pedophilia on Amazon. So there's a connection there. So he hasn't necessarily said that there'll be 10 days of darkness. We know that there's going to be. Well, this is what I think. And I can relate this back to them turning off the current financial system and turning it on, and the quantum financial system and all these other things. I can go deep as you like. Okay, but superficially, when we're talking about 10 days of darkness, Q never said that. You find anywhere, and you prove that to me, and I know that post that you're talking about, it says 10 days, full stop, period, darkness in the next sentence, because I've done the gematria dickhead on this.
No, I'm saying post 64 is ambiguous. It doesn't say that it's going to happen. He's saying that it may happen, but it could be averted. That's what I'm getting at. That
Yeah. And I'll just reread it. It says, fellow patriots, I'm being advised actions have created accelerated counteractions. We have not ascertained the scope of the attack, which is, I believe, is to come. Watch the news outlets, as in tomorrow. POTUS's Twitter takedown was not by accident. That was in the past, as referenced several hours ago. Should the lights go out, please know we are in control. Do not panic. We are prepared and assets are in place. God bless. I must go for good at this point. So
yeah.
Posted at
He's saying,
6:30. Yeah.
Should is the word that is underlined. And if you go back to the top, the scope of the attack, right? We've not yet ascertained the scope of the attack, which you might have just done. I'm not sure. But I also was trying to go back to do not panic, because they're panicking. And that's why he's saying, we're in control. They're panicking. Don't panic, because when you panic, you make mistakes. Stay calm and stay collected, and you won't make any mistakes. That's how I read all this.
Paul, if they're resetting everything, then they need to take control of all sorts of global servers that have information, banking information, all kinds of systems. Remember, this is all being rebuilt, replaced with a blockchain system. And I won't go into that tonight, but we probably have multiple shows related to that. So if you like crypto and blockchain and Bitcoin and XRP, that's coming. But this is what's going on. They are going to reset everything. They have their own systems in place. They've been testing them parallel at this point, and they're going to need a point where they're going to have to turn everything off, and they're going to need an event to do this. Now, they're struggling with this whole New World Order, the Great Reset, which means they're going to take all your shit, basically. Pardon my French. That's what the Great Reset is. You're going to have no rights. You're going to have lockdowns. You're going to have no property, and you're going to do exactly as you're told, or else. That is what's coming with the New World Order. If Trump does not win tomorrow, which we know that he will, God willing, and we know that he will, things are going to be bad. The dark winter that Joe Biden talks about, he's not kidding. Like, I've done the gematria on that, and it's nasty stuff on the dark winter. So pray, be consoled and happy in the fact that, you know, that we've done the work and the president's done the work. He's doing 5 rallies a day, and that there's no way that we can lose this. Those crowds are not the crowds of a second place getter. That's a fact.
So, yes. So there is a new Q post, and it's 4949. And I find it really interesting. It says that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that the government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. Abraham Lincoln, November 9, 1863. Together we win. And we're theme show tonight is about being together and unity. And so if you go 4949, that's 1313. And if you go 1863, you get 99, which are the two 99s in the post. That was not a mistake.
And if you rearrange them, you can get 1133. So 1133 is the date of the election, and you've also got the 33 of the Masons. So you're sending them a message. Every one of these dates, every one of these post numbers in particular are very important. They seem to have the most meaning for me. So every time the audience sees 49, you think 13.
By the way, while you guys were talking there,
13, and don't forget, you can rearrange these numbers. Pardon me?
I was going to say, while you guys were talking there, I pulled up the Seattle Mariners website here, and I think you'll find a couple of things interesting here. Let me put it up on screen for y'all. Okay, first off, we're in week 8. And then, you know, on their website, you see this image here, which is, you know, similar.
Wait a second. Earlier in the conversation, I got cut off, and I was trying to tell everyone I was seeing symbology, and that symbol is a goddess, right? The symbol of what's the company? Seattle. It's a Seattle-based coffee company.
Yeah. It's Starbucks.
Yeah, Starbucks. Why do they use some sort of goddess as their symbol for their company?
Right. Okay.
That's weird.
I'll look at some of the numbers here, though. Yeah, San Francisco, their record is 4-4. Seattle's record is 6-1. Okay. It was week number 8. Then there's the score for the game was 27-37. And then let's see, 14 numbers of note. The Seahawks win. The Seahawks win week 8 win over the 49ers. And I don't know. Do you see anything in the numbers there?
As you went up, it went 27-37. 2-7 is 9. 3-7 is 1. 9-1 reverse 1-9. So there's your 1-9. They're coding everything as 1-9. There'll be 1-9, 1-1-9, 9-1-1s encoded all through, as well as 1-1-3 and 3-1-1.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we've got Eden's Vision is out there trying to sort out the gematria and how it works, and trying to get a grasp on it. Do you want to do a quick primer on the gematria there? And
before you do, you were saying, did I see anything? And I saw this is 14 numbers of. You read it.
Yeah, 14 numbers of note from the Seattle Seahawks Week 8 win.
So
right down here.
That's a key. That's a key. We're supposed to key on the 14 numbers. I don't know where we're going to get those 14 numbers from. Maybe they're on the screen. Maybe it's not necessarily the numbers that the link goes to is what I'm getting at.
14 numbers of note. Seahawks Week 8 win over the 49ers.
I'll be right back.
And also the 49ers 4-9, 13 again. Like 13, we were just discussing the Q post 4-9, 4-9. You got the 49ers, San Francisco 49ers. They don't use 4 and 9 for nothing. They mean 13.
Okay, so the numbers that they're talking about, 32 wins compared to just 8 losses for the Seahawks in games following a loss dating back to 2012. 26, Russell Wilson's NFL leading touchdown total after he threw 4 more in Sunday's game. Wilson has thrown 3 or more touchdowns in 6 of 7 games this year, and 4 or more in 4 games. 253 career touchdown passes for Wilson, who is less than 9 seasons, already ranks 22nd all time and will crack the top 20 with 3 more TD passes. Wilson is one of 3 players, along with Peyton Manning and Dan Marino, to throw 250 touchdown passes in his first 9 seasons. The number 23 rushing yards for Russell Wilson gives him 4,253 in his career, and moving him past Steve Young into 4th place for most rushing yards by a quarterback. Only Michael Vick, Cam Newton, Randall Cunningham have rushed for more yards than Wilson at the position. 11 tackles made by Bobby Wagner, giving him double-digit tackles in 4 straight games. The number 2, sacks by Wagner, matching his career high. Moving on, the number 161 and the number 12. Receiving yards and receptions by DK Metcalf, both career highs. Metcalf also matched a career high with 2 touchdown catches. The number 14, receiving touchdowns by Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, who are both tied for NFL lead in receiving touchdowns. With
what if we put these numbers into the geometrics and see what happens? The 14 numbers. So like put them in divided. So like you might have to divide them because it won't take all 14 numbers. Take like into 2 and divide the first part and then divide the second part. Put them in there and see what happens.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you need to choose the data points. So what data points are we looking at here?
This article is telling us the data points. The article is telling us the 14 numbers highlighted. If you look on your screen, you can actually see them. But Thumper would have to actually go up to the top to do it. Or you can open the link that he's opened here. This is how we decode, folks. This is actually how we do it. So they're telling you something in the NFL. They're telling you the numbers, and they're coded message in the numbers. And these are the 14 numbers. So then you have to figure out where the starting point and the ending point is. And then once you figure out the starting point and the ending point, then the information will flow to you. So yes, they're telling somebody something in this article, but what they've told them, we haven't figured out yet. But we've got them cornered.
They really want this event. They need something. They need a circuit breaker because they're losing badly. The worst thing that could happen is something. Go out and vote right now. If it's fucking time to vote, go vote, because I'm worried about something happening and people aren't able to vote and they won't go out and vote because something really big and bad happened on the last day when all the Republicans and people that are going to vote red and going to decide the election are actually going out and voting. And what are they going to do? So this is just me speculating and worrying, but like, remember, we're talking about the death blossom of the enemy. They will do anything because they're all getting executed after this.
Well, all I know is that if you go back in history, let's see, when the Mariners had their kick butt season, that was let's see what happened that year. It basically, oh gosh, I can't remember exactly what happened, but there was a total of 100. They won 116 games, and which is just one short of making it a record. They basically tied, and
so one.
Oh, that was that I believe
117 is the record.
Yeah.
Does that not seem contrived to you, Thumper?
Yeah. Well, and then it was 9/11 actually that happened that year.
There you go.
It was.
And we talk about the 9/11 and 7/11 nexus.
Yeah. And it's funny. It's something that's kind of come to my mind. Every time one of our Seattle teams is doing really well, something screws it up, and it's usually some kind of a national event. And I'm not going to say it directly screwed it up, but well, obviously 9/11. Let me check something real quick. I'll be right back.
Is anyone going to this game? In the comments, can you just let me know, or do you know anyone that's going?
I think most games don't have anybody there really at the stadiums now, Vector. There's like maybe 150 people in the audience because of COVID. They shut them all down, and they actually even put fake people in the stands. And yeah, like it's the games are going, but they're not really going. And I kind of wonder if
this is how fake things are in Brisbane, Paul. They had the AFL Grand Final. I think it was last weekend on Saturday, and the Queensland government managed to get that, even though there's lockdowns and all the AFL players and Hollywood movie stars making movies got exemptions for COVID, even though other people weren't allowed to come and see their dying father and people and stuff like that. So this is what's going on in Australia. It's all bullshit. And if they're able to have 100,000 people, have a huge amount of people at the Australian Football League Grand Final. I don't know if you know about the AFL, usually at the MCG, and there's usually about 100,000 people there. It is a big deal, almost as big as the Melbourne Cup that we had today. And like, if you notice the number 17 in the Melbourne Cup, which was the richest racehorse in the world, besides the Kentucky Derby and another one in the UK, I can't remember its name, but it was number 17 was The Chosen One. The Chosen One. Does that seem like a coincidence to you and your viewers? Mm-hmm. I don't think so. So I'm not sure who won. I don't know the result, but I'm hoping The Chosen One came through, number 17, the Melbourne Cup today. That was all done, fairly carefully. But going back to the stadium, so they were able to have a huge stadium, but they're not having that in the US. They weren't able to have that in Victoria due to a lockdown, but they're able to have that in Queensland, in Australia, and have the AFL Grand Final and have all the exemptions for the football players and for Hollywood stars like Tom Hanks. And I don't need to go into Tom Hanks too much, but I can assure you, I'm not a big fan. And nor of Ellen DeGeneres and all these other horrible people. And we'll have another huge series of programs next week discussing these horrible people.
Okay, we're coming up on an hour here. Let's say we go into the article here and kind of give everybody a little idea of what how these numbers kind of work in your article there, Victor. What do you think?
That sounds great. Will the audience in the main have read the preamble, the first two paragraphs, which they should probably go back because we don't really have time, I'm assuming, to do that. But if we could probably go to part C and start reading deeply into the construct the way the language is put together and pulled apart, pivot points in the alphabet, the very basis of the language itself leads into a way to think in a higher form, a fifth dimensional form of thinking. So this is where this article leads.
When you say part C, where does that start?
Okay, so we read through part B, and that went through the Assisian codes, and it had the actual codes, and it also had like just a little paragraph from me at the end there. But if we go to part C, it actually starts to begin with the article, both combined with things that I've written, but mostly also this gentleman, DeFetch, I can't remember his name. It's a 12-year-old article, and there's much more coming, and I'll be presenting all of his work and hopefully getting in touch with him, but I haven't got anything back.
Okay, that is marked as addendum 1.
No, it should be part C, clean. I'm just looking now.
Okay, I've got part 1 or part I. I don't see part.
There might be some people in the audience who are having a little trouble with the numbers thing. I would recommend.
You need to go back and read this article.
No, well, wait a second.
It's not just the Assisi codes; it's the code itself.
No, I would recommend them to think a little bit on a broader scale. That, like, you know, we are making connections with numbers, but we're also making connections with things that are happening in reality that tie into the numbers. So you can't just look at it like, oh, these guys are talking about how numbers are numbers and stuff. No, we're actually talking about how all these things tie in to what we're seeing, and that the numbers are part of the Fibonacci sequence. And that's the natural sequence of the numbers that are attained to everything. That's what we're talking about, that we're seeing now.
And pi in particular.
Yes, and Vector is helping you basically interpret those two sequences and how they play into our daily lives, and how we see things that are attached to the numbers, but we don't actually realize that we're seeing this stuff. And he's showing you a way to see how the numbers actually connect in a more logical way.
In a deeper esoteric way. Thumper and Paul, I've come up with this section. It says part C. It's a little bit further down. You need to open up some of the other ones. I'm prepared to read this if you don't mind, or I probably prefer that you did it, Thumper. But if you go further down into the article, you'll get to where it says OP edit at the top. I noticed root math relationship, so I added it in there. It says part C. And that's probably a beautiful spot to start reading.
Okay, let me scroll down here a little bit and find it.
I've already sort of found the spot, but it's not hard. You just need to go down further, past part I and part F, and it's a bit further down, but not too far.
Okay, just I'm almost there, I think.
Sorry. To all our listeners, this is the foundation.
Okay, here we go. Part C.
You need to learn this before I can reveal to you COMS 1.0 and COMS 2.0, because there are two versions of highly advanced cryptography and coding that have been developed for us and white hats for two-way communication, in a covert and clandestine way. But it's all based on the things that I've put together. And then I've also added in all of the principles that this particular author has put together. It's very important. Please read it many, many times. I've read it probably 20 times, and I'm still learning all the time.
Okay, here we go. Part C. The first principle to keep in mind is that the Assisian codes is a highly advanced and evolved form of gematria. It is totally based on traditional occult insight and teachings. Like learning anything, it takes time and effort. The Assisian codes is just that, a code. However, unlike most codes, the Assisian codes includes an intuitive component. As such, the Assisian codes transcends, in quote, acceptable norms of objective reasoning, such as might be applied to the creation and implementation of a code. There is a balance between what some view as subjective reasoning with that of what is objective reasoning. In quote, to highlight this thought, there was an online debate some years ago regarding the Assisian codes. What one will find is that if one tries to subject the Assisian codes to a purely objective set of reasoning, one will ultimately fail miserably at trying to comprehend the Assisian codes. That the Assisian codes does not fit what is expected patterns of logic proves frustrating to those who believe that a, in quote, code must by necessity be purely objective in its analysis, end quote. But the Assisian codes cannot, in true measure, be viewed purely from an objective point of view. Whether one wishes to say that the Assisian codes need to be viewed subjectively, in quotes, or intuitively, in quotes, or conceptually, in quotes, cannot be understated. Okay, meaning you just can't take it for what's on the surface. You're going to have to dig around and find correlations and things like that. All right. If I am interpreting your post correctly, it seems that you are seeking an objective criteria for judging whether any particular combination of letters/words that can be arranged into an approximate expansion of pi, 3.14, is meaningful or not. This desire presupposes that only that which is objective is meaningful. It takes for granted the very thing that is at issue, the criteria for what determines whether something is meaningful or not. The whole point of the Assisian code, as I see it, is that it calls into question the whole assumption that meaning is purely objective. Also, I do not want to give the impression that I am advocating throwing away objectivity. I am not thinking in terms of subjectivity versus objectivity. It is a case of simply expanding the objective picture of reality to account for the conscious subject as well, subjectivity plus objectivity. In the coincidence of opposites, the two forms of knowing, subjective and objective, mutually reinforce each other, creating a form of knowing that is implicitly more encompassing than either form on their own, end quote. I do not think in terms of there being a right and a wrong answer to the question of whether the Assisian code is meaningful or not. The answer is that anybody arrives at, like any individual blob or of color in a painting, depends on the background against which it is viewed. The question seems to me to be like asking whether the Grail cup in Leonardo's Last Supper that is discussed in the thread Da Vinci Virgin of the Rocks, is really a cup or an abstract wall decoration. Up close, it appears as an abstract wall decoration. From a distance, as a chalice. I do not see it as either or choice, as an either or choice. I see it as both. The wall decoration is painted in two tones, a dark and a light tone. I see this fact as symbolic that Leonardo is sending us the message that the coincidence of opposites is the Grail. In this understanding, the either-or dichotomy of Grail versus abstract wall decoration is transcended. It is the act of understanding that unites the two seemingly mutual exclusive interpretations when seen against the background of this understanding. I experience a sense of beauty. Objective understanding and subjective understanding, the sense of beauty reinforce each other, close quote. There are many of those who have sought to argue that the Assisian Codes is, in quote, purely subjective. Indeed, those who try to argue that the Assisian Codes is purely subjective are really missing the entire point. Subjectively comes after an analysis of the underlying objective realities. There really can be no subjective inquiry into these affairs if one has not first been able to expand and push the objective argument to its limits. Once objectivity has reached its limits, there is but one way to transcend what becomes a rather simplistic objective enterprise, and that is to peer deeper into the construct, utilizing logic and reason in an intuitive manner, such as to reveal what has been concealed. Letters are fused to numbers, and as such, words must have a mathematical component to them. Objectivity seeks to impose a comprehensive set of limits through which words may then be interpreted as esoteric constructions. What objectivity seeks to do is impose a standard of set criteria as to how the totality of an esoteric code may be interpreted. There is not a care as to the willful intent of the crafter of the esoteric formula. The following demonstration shows very easily the limits of objectivity as such applies to an analysis and interpretation of esoteric formula. Interpret the following formula and provide the answer. 1 plus 0 equals X. If you view this formula objectively, you most likely will make an objective analysis that X must equal 1, for surely 1 plus 0 equals 1. And so X must equal 1. This statement relative to the construction is purely false. For if you make the assumption that X must equal 1, then you forgot to include the intent of the crafter of the formula. The intent of the crafting of words necessitates the inclusion of a subjective reasoning, or more accurately, an intuitive logic. The intent of the formula 1 plus 0 equals X was intended to reveal something was true or false. Since letters are fused to numbers, we may note that the number 1 is Roman numeral I, which is the 9th letter, and the 0 number is the O letter, and the O letter is the 15th letter. 9 plus 15 equals 24. And since X is the 24th letter of the alphabet, then the formula 1 plus 0 equals X is true. Depends on how you look at it. Dave Wookster, we're getting to the meat here. Don't go to sleep just yet. The objective mind will then protest and say, "You are being subjective," as if to intimate that the very statement I plus O equals X is false and invalid. Obviously, such an argument falls on deaf ears. I crafted the formula to prove a statement true or false. I know precisely how I crafted the formula, and even provided the logic and the reasoning as to how the formula was pieced together. There was nothing subjective about the crafting. Clearly, the formula is intended is true. All right, so did you catch that, chat? All right, are we just totally blowing everybody out of the water here? Is this one of those hyperdrive episodes you may have to watch a couple of times on the YouTube channel when it gets uploaded?
You guys paying attention?
Okay. So you have to look. You have to look around the corner. You have to look from the top. You have to look from the bottom. You have to kind of let's see what happens if I do this, this, and this. Obviously, it's going to take some knowledge of some other things, or else you're not going to get the idea that, oh, wait a minute, if I use Roman numerals, and then cross-reference those to the alphabet, then, you can, arrive at the intended phrase or the intended message that you should have gotten from the code. I've also discovered that 1 plus 0 equals X, or equals 10 equals X, the Roman numeral for 10. So again, this is proved true. One must study esoteric formulations in great depth before one may begin to say they can infer the intent of the crafting of the esoteric formula. What we are dealing with is core occult truths. The Assisian codes are inherently designed to elucidate core occult truths, which aid the individual in attaining a measure of a comprehension of occult reality. So, do you want to kind of explain that, Vector?
When we're talking about occult, we're talking about hidden. That's what the word means. So don't think that when you hear the word occult, you're thinking about Satanism or whatever necessarily. The word occult means something's been occulted, has been hidden specifically. That's what they mean here when they're talking about occult truths, occult reality. So when you think that, don't think we're talking about Satanists and all that kind of stuff. This is all very, very much rooted in Freemasonry. This is what our enemies study. Many of our enemies most of them form part of satanic lodges. So there are the good Freemasons and the bad Freemasons. And what you need to understand is that they're not always the same. The Illuminati aren't all just the dark Illuminati, and they're all studying this stuff. So when we're talking about occult truth, we're not talking about Satanists necessarily, and a lot of this is tied into the Kabbalah, the Jewish mysticism, which ties into Egyptian mysticism and Babylonian mysticism, Sumerian mysticism, Phoenician mysticism. They all tie together because none of these people invented the language, and they always misdirect us back to the Hebrew language when we really should be focused very much on the English language and the glyphs of the English language and their sounds, how they relate to colors, how they relate to geometry, how they relate to all of those symbols on the Roslin Chapel. They're all somatic symbols for sounds. This is where it all ties in. So letters and numbers tie into sounds, tie into symbols. This all goes into how they built all of those beautiful structures, especially Coral Castle. He understood all of this stuff. That's why he was able to levitate all these stones. Same with the Egyptians. Maybe I'm getting a bit too deep here, but it all connects. So it's about all of the anti-gravity technology. It's all about all of the free energy technology and being able to build all these beautiful structures. But if we don't understand the occult truth, how it connects to language, numbers, sounds, and geometry, then we're never going to get it. Does that make sense?
Yes. Okay. Anybody in chat? You guys... Let's see. Seawolf. Good evening, Seawolf. How you doing? It's hidden, of course. Otherwise, we would all be able to see it, which is entirely true because you can't unless you study or have knowledge of it. Exactly true.
And they're hiding all of this from us. They don't want us to know. They're sworn to protect this because they formulate the codes for each Masonic lodge differently, and they communicate using all of these methods with each other, and they've changed them slightly. So to betray these methods is to betray them and to be killed. But luckily, I'm not a Freemason, so they can, go jump basically because there's nothing that they can do. If people work this stuff out for themselves and decode all of their methods, then they're exposed, and they don't do things in secret because they're doing good works, really. Let's face it. You do things secretly, maybe from a national security point of view, and there are reasons for security and secrecy. I understand that. But as JFK said, you know, the whole notion of secrecy is repugnant in a free society. And that's not what we're about. So we're here to destroy all of that and all of those people. They're all connected, the CIA and the Vatican and the Jesuits in particular, and all of the Zionists and the royal family, all of the Freemasons, these satanic lodges. They all know this language. They know it very, very well, and they're using it to conceal their activities because most people are pretty, not stupid, but just don't know anything about this. Like, why would you even be looking into his stuff if you're a normal person? You wouldn't, would you?
So the each of these different lodges or organizations, cult organizations, they basically have a keystone or a key to how to decipher these codes. Is that correct?
Yes, they do. And they aren't all the same, but the very basis of it, like what we're learning now, is the foundation, and then they build their codes on top of that. And then they also build their rituals, their witchcraft, their predictive programming of when they're going to assassinate people or whatever they're going to do on certain dates, when they're going to have their false flags. They're very careful about when they do these things because they know that doing these at certain times gives the ritual more power. So whether you believe this or you don't, they do. And they have all the money and they have all the power and they run the show. So you really, really need to be paying attention to what these people are doing, whether you think that they're insane and this means nothing. To them, it means everything. So on that basis, we should be paying attention. That's my point.
And the power that you speak of, that they derive from this, that is that an other dimensional power, or is it a real for lack of a better way to say it, there's always a time and a place for something to happen, correct?
That's right. And they know this. So something that you might do at a particular time, I mean, timing is everything, as we know. And Q said this to us many times. You can do something the day before and it doesn't have the effect that you're supposed to do. If you don't have the rally in Philadelphia or whatever, you're supposed to have it on the day that you're supposed to have it and you're late and you're a day late, well, then you're shit out of luck. You know, timing is literally everything. Making sure that you invested your money at the right time so that you can participate in a moon event. If you're into cryptocurrency or whatever, you need to be in it. For those people that are traders, well, they're just going to get killed. And frankly, you know, they should. This is figuratively speaking, financially, except the very highest professions. So going back, I think that they know exactly what they're doing. They're programming all of this stuff. They know their codes and they're doing things to send a message a lot of times. They did 9/11 very specifically on 9/11. They had multiple reasons why they did that, which we can go through, I guess, another time. We've touched on them briefly. And you have a look at the numbers of 9/11, 9 being I, 11 being K, and you're looking at in Roman numerals. So you're looking at I, you know, being 1, and as far as K being 11, the 11th letter, you've got 2 I's there or 2 1s. So you've got 111, and that's a full satanic Freemasonic number representing the 2 1s, the duality, man and woman, the temple of God, and adding a 3rd strand in there, which for them figuratively means adding another strand of DNA and turning us into these transhumanist robots that they want, controlled by nanotech. And, you know, don't get these vaccines. There's a lot more of those vaccines than you think. Mm-hmm. There are markers in those vaccines. There are tracking devices in those vaccines. There is nanotechnology in those vaccines. unless they're safe. And I think that the United States will have safe vaccines if it's under the Trump administration, but I'm very, very wary about that. And then you have the digital passports for traveling. If you come to Australia, you used to be able to fill out a piece of paper when you got here telling them your name and your whatever and all that stuff. Now you need to be able to fill out a digital ID, and it needs to have all your details on there and your COVID vaccination certificate. Otherwise, you can't enter the country. So I'm not sure if people around the world know that this is happening. This is happening like right now, today.
Hey, by the way, somebody
in Australia now. And if you go to Western Australia, for instance, if you don't submit to the vaccine thumper in Western Australia, the cops will hold you down and they'll inject you. Sorry to interrupt you.
By the way, a little bit earlier, we played for you a song, that Lee Greenwood's "God Bless the USA," and somebody suggested if you like that song, I have another one that I'd like to take just a brief little musical interlude here and play another one of the songs that I like to play here on Patriot Soapbox. The name of this song is called "It's America."
The street today, saw a sign for lemonade. They were the cutest kids I'd ever seen in that front yard. As they handed me my glass, I smiled thinking to myself, man, what a picture perfect postcard this would make of America. It's a high school prom, it's a Springsteen song, it's a ride in a Chevrolet. It's a man on the moon and fireflies in June and kids selling lemonade. It's cities and farms, it's open arms, one nation under God. It's America. Later on when I got home, I flipped the TV on, saw a little town that some big twister tore apart. People came from miles around just to help their neighbors out. And I was thinking to myself, I'm so glad that I live in America. It's a high school prom, it's a Springsteen song, it's a ride in a Chevrolet. It's a man on the moon and fireflies in June and kids selling lemonade. It's cities and farms, it's open arms, one nation under God. It's America. I'd rather build my life. It's a kid with a chance, it's a rock and roll band, it's a farmer cutting hay. It's a big flag flying in the summer wind over a fallen hero's grave. It's a high school prom, it's a Springsteen song, it's a welcome home parade. It's a man on the moon and fireflies in June and kids selling lemonade. It's cities and farms, it's open arms, one nation under God. It's America. It's America. Hey, yeah, yeah. It's America. It's America.
All right. What'd you think of that one?
That's awesome.
Now, there's something that came to mind when playing that song, and then the Lee Greenwood song. Now, here at Patriot Soapbox, we have to worry about copyrights on these songs. But what we have found is that when one of our military bands or a military or government contracted agency has produced something, basically it doesn't fall under the copyright rules in as such that because it belongs, it can't be copyrighted because it belongs to the people. We, the people, own it. And as such, we have been very, very successful in playing songs on Patriot Soapbox that are basically covers. And you know what a cover song is, right? When another band, somebody else's work, right? So these are cover songs being done by the military bands. All right, just like the one you just heard. That is typically a song done by a military band, along with Lee Greenwood, in conjunction with Lee Greenwood. All right, and I have been thinking all along that there is a reason why they have chosen to do these songs this year and or late last year. I started digging into like the Navy, the Army, and whatever. And, there have been these songs that have popped up that are obviously being done. Like if you watch the video there that goes with the Lee Greenwood songs, they had masks on. So obviously that song was produced during that time frame when masks were out there. And knowing that we can play those songs on this channel, I think there's a reason there. And what do you think of my theory?
I've noticed that too. I put some YouTube videos up and they pinged me on some of the smallest things. But when I had Patriot music going on, especially with things that the president's put together, some of his promotional music, then if I use that as a background to my gematria decodes when I do them in a video form, which I just only started doing, then they don't seem to care about that. Mm-hmm. But otherwise, if you have more than 2 seconds, I think it is, of anything else, then you'll get pinged pretty hard on YouTube.
Yeah. Well, we don't get pinged on these. They don't ping them.
That's because the creator has decided to let it go.
Right.
They've kept it open. They've given people the option. They're like, this is important, so we need this to get out, and this isn't about making money, because if we don't win, well, we're all dead anyway. So if I was them, I'd be thinking the same way. I'd be thinking, okay, well, we need to put this music up. We need to make sure everybody listens to it and they're all supportive.
So
and they're spreading it everywhere at Thumper.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's going in. Okay, let me show you another video here, because again, this was done specifically this year. You'll see a reason why. By the way, these are my boys. These are my Blue Angel boys.
Oh yeah, they're great.
Well, I've some of the scenes in this, I've walked those hallways.
You know these guys.
I used to be a member of the team. If in that picture you see of the stairwell right there,
yeah,
I've walked that stairwell many a time. My picture hangs in that stairwell. I wasn't a pilot. I was part of the ground crew. I wore a uniform like the guy on the right-hand side of the screen there.
Either way, Thumper, that's one of the most important jobs. I am not worthy.
Well, I was very, very lucky to have had that opportunity. Anyway, here we go.
I've been telling my dreams to the scarecrow about the places that I'd like to see. I say, friend, do you think I'll ever get there? Oh, but he just stands there smiling back at me. So I confess my sins to the preacher about the love I've been praying to find. Is there a brown-eyed boy in my future? Yeah, he says, girl, you got nothing but time. So how do you wait forever? And who has that much time? And how do you keep your feet on the ground when you know you're born? My daddy, he is grounded like the oak tree. My mama, she's steady as the sun. You know I love my folks, but I keep staring down the road, just looking for my one chance of love. And I will soar away like the blackbird. I will go in the wind like the sea. I will plant my heart in the garden of my dreams. I will grow up where I want while I'm free. Oh, how do you wait forever? And who has that much time? And how do you keep your feet on the ground when you know you were born? You were born, yeah, yeah. You were born to fly. So how do you wait forever? And who has that much time? And how do you keep your feet on the ground when you know you're born? You were born to fly. You were born to fly, 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 fly. You were born to
Okay.
Awesome.
They're very entertaining, but at the same time, there was a conscious effort to pump people up and get people motivated, wake people up, and I am absolutely convinced that as with everything that they've done in this entire operation, the Q operation, whatever you want to call it, that they are absolutely doing all of this, and there's more than just what you see on the surface of it.
And think about the scope of all of the rallies that Trump is having. I've never seen anything like that. Think about putting it together logistically from a marketing perspective, from just raising money, the whole text vote 88022. I've got that all over my website, like practically everywhere you go, you're going to see text vote 88022.
Let's take an obvious one from the last 2 days. He did 5 rallies in 2 days, 5 by 5.
Yes.
All
That's
right.
perfect. I can't keep up with him. I can't even keep up with uploading everything onto the website to make sure that it's all there for people. It's really hard. I wake up in the morning and I've got like 5 rallies to put up and 3 speeches from his family and all this new material from all these patriots. And then you wake up and you have vote goes down, which is like essential from my perspective. I have a lot of material saved there, so I need to make sure I get that off because I think we're being turned off shortly. Again, I'm kind of calling it, and I hate to be one of those date fags, but I think maybe tomorrow, the next day, expect things to go pretty badly, and maybe you won't have access, especially to Twitter or Facebook.
Mm-hmm. Well, that wouldn't bother me at all.
As long as we're all ready to go, because I had insomnia last night and I got up at 2 a.m. and I spent 2 hours and I had no vote and I had to get on Aikun and I felt like a fish out of water. I'm not feeling too good. I hadn't been on there for 3 years, really. I've been lurking there and posting a few things, but hanging out with the cool kids. But otherwise, it wasn't a good thing for me. So if everyone else in the normie community sees all of their internet access go down and all of their access to everything they used to go down for several days, that might upset them, particularly when we're just in the midst of deciding who the president of the United States is.
Let me share another song that they did during the COVID lockdown. And that's why you see it being done the way it is. Okay.
Did you notice the masks at the end of that video?
Yeah.
So that's pretty new.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was done early this year because they canceled all of the air shows for the demonstration teams.
Do you know what date that was, roughly?
It said in the video, April 28th. Is the date on all of the video of the jets and of the people that were. So what it tells me too is that they had professional folks there with those aren't cell phone videos. Those some of those shots in that particular video were absolutely had to have been set up,
and that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Some of those shots.
Yes,
that's a fact, and they would have had to have been set up by the military because no one else would have had the capability or the money to put something like that. Those shots, like in air shots and aerial shots, they cost money.
Oh yeah. Now this next song here is the name of the song is Texas Hold'em. Okay, and again, this song was done during the COVID lockdown, and you'll notice each one of these performers is doing it from a separate location, and they're doing their pieces and parts of the song via a communications network where the song is being recorded and then mixed and put together along with the camera video. This isn't just normal camera video. If you watch, you see what's on your screen now. That's a good high quality camera shot there,
and multiple angles too.
Yes. Okay. Watch this video.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
Awesome.
So, and some people say, I can't take the country music anymore. Sorry about that. What I'm trying to do is trying to make a point. The point being is it's not just feel good music. They don't do anything that is just, oh, I think that's a cool song. Let's do that. They're using
their messaging, and even the whole message of the title. What was it? Texas Hold'em.
Yes.
So, if you look more deeply into that and you know what it means, and I'm sure if you're in the military, how do you know that they're not signaling other people? How do you know how sophisticated signals intelligence has got? Why would you not just completely mishmash it straight into everything that you see everywhere, just like the enemy are doing? So it's right there in plain sight, and there's nothing you can do to prove that it is what it is. Beautiful, plausible deniability, no national security laws being breached. If you know the code, then you understand whether you're communicating to the black hats or the white hats, and there'll be public keys, like I've been developing and presenting in conjunction with the CCN codes. And I have comms 1.0 that I've developed from this, which I'll present, and comms 2.0, which is still to be released. But this is the kind of thing that you can develop based on all of this. The military know this. They're number one. They're the ones doing it. They are Q. The Q is military intelligence.
Okay.
Let's face it.
Now, watch.
That's who they are.
Watch this. Okay. That's the Liberty Bell.
Yes, I saw that. Okay. And where we go all Bell on JFK's boat.
And then we have Constitution Hall across the street in the shot.
Is that what that is? Right.
That's Constitution Hall in Philadelphia.
And look at the times as well. It's 12:10.
Actually, it's 2:00. I think that's showing 2:00.
Is that 2:00? I can't.
Yeah, I think it's showing 2:00.
I can't read it. It's very hard to see it because of is it 2:00? Is it?
That's what I'm seeing. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And let's go 17 seconds into the song here and see what we get. A tip of the wing.
Just so that you know, even if it was 2:00, 1,400 hours, it still adds up pretty much the same when you add those numbers, but I won't go into that now.
Mm-hmm.
Look at these guys in the planes. They are so well trained, and they must be risking their lives even doing this.
See, now here you have this is an outside shot. This is again. Let's see. That's in Nashville, is where this shot is taken, I believe.
No, Philadelphia.
Okay,
April 28th, 2020.
Yeah, Philadelphia. Okay, so that's Constitution Hall right there. So at the same time, this shot is being taken professionally. All right, you go to the next one. There's the same shot.
From a different angle. In a different building.
Yeah.
And it's all contrived. I don't want to give away too much to your viewers, but I have first-hand experience of reality television, and I do mean like a number one globally syndicated show that basically everybody's watched in over 40 countries. And I've seen how they make television, and you don't see anything. So I've been through all of the filming and all of that. And then when you actually go and you watch it on television, you only see a very short version, obviously. And then you really, really notice the things that they put in the shot, and you realize like they take more time to set up the shot than they do to film the piece, if that makes sense. Again, I don't want to go too much into how I know this, but I can assure you when we're talking about reality television, I probably know as much as what Donald Trump knows.
Okay. Well, look at the time now. You do have 14:10. 10 minutes after 2.
So it's moved now. Is it the full 10 minutes though, or is it 9 minutes?
Looks like more like maybe 8 minute. Or well,
no, 9 minutes.
No. Actually, it's past the 2. It'd be more like 2:12. 2:12. I think the big hand's on the 12. Yeah, at 12 minutes after. Okay.
And there's 6 planes there.
Yeah.
6? No, there's 7 because there's one number 7, but I only counted 6.
Yeah. The 6th plane is that's the camera plane. That's the one that they're using to film from the formation.
So there is 7 planes then.
Yeah.
Of course. If you were going to make a squadron, you wouldn't make 6 planes, you'd make 7.
Yeah. But you also have the Thunderbirds are right there as well. You have the Air Force Thunderbirds here and the United States Navy Blue Angels here. And that looks, that's New York City on April 28th, 2020.
And that's over the Comfort.
Yes.
Which has got 3 pluses on it. Plus, Comfort, Comfy. Don't know if your viewers know the Pepe comms, but there's a term that says Comfy AF.
So you've got so you have the shot of the ship again, the Comfort.
Or was that the Mercy?
I'm trying to remember.
Let's think about the dates. Where were these ships on those dates?
I'm trying to remember which one was where. One was in California. The other one was in New York.
And this is in Philadelphia, though.
No, that shot came from New York. Okay,
wow.
That's New York.
They're just cutting here. They're cutting and going backwards and forth. All right, sorry, I see that now.
What they did was the jets went up and they did this huge flyby thing all across the eastern seaboard, different places. But in order to get a lot of these shots, they had to have people in place to take these photos, take these films. Not
yes.
You have onboard photos like that, and see how the camera angle changes.
And it moves. So is the camera turning? Yes.
So what's happening is, okay, the pilot is not turning controlling that camera. That additional aircraft that's flying alongside is remotely controlling that camera. Okay.
So the camera senses the plane next to it and moves towards it.
So what's happening is the chase plane, if you want to call it that, it'll be a 2-seater, and there will be a guy flying in the seat there, in the second seat, and he's controlling the movement of the cameras inside the cockpit and that's flying, because the pilot can't be doing that.
No.
While he's flying in a formation. Okay, so that camera right there is being controlled remotely.
Wow, that's awesome. Yes, that makes complete sense. It would have to be, because every single shot, every single frame that you're seeing is contrived.
Absolutely.
And I'm going back to the thing I was telling you about, the reality television. It could be any television. This is what they do. Every single thing that you see on the screen is put there for a reason. And I realized this once I went back and actually looked at all of the footage of what I'd been film doing, and realized just how little that was actually, what they actually put up there. They just put bits and pieces, the very smallest snippets, and this is why it's all fake news, because they will just manipulate everything that they possibly can the way that they
also, if you look here,
to show you the pieces that you need to see to create the narrative.
And there's another aircraft flying way out. See it right here? There's another. This is the chase plane. This is flying with the squadron.
And look to the bottom left as well, halfway down the other one, there's a black spot So that's the squadron on the left-hand side. So go further to the left, and then you go down to the left, and you see a spot there. What's that? Further up, to the right, up, 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 up. So it's just to the left of that stream. Can you see that small brown dark dot there? Below, to the right. Below to the right, around 45 degrees. Further down to the left. Do you see that black spot there? What's that? No, you missed it. It's halfway up and down the left stream.
Let me see.
No, it's not there.
I don't see anything there.
No, it's gone now. That's okay. Sorry, I'm going crazy.
Yeah, I don't.
Pardon me.
I don't see anything there. But
so there's at least one craft there. Are there any more? What's that one on the right? Do you see that dark one there?
This one here.
So yeah.
That's the chase plane.
But didn't you point to another one to the left of that stream as well that looked like it was white, or is that the same plane that's now moved to the right?
Okay, here you have the chase plane. All right. And then you have this one way off in the distance at a much higher altitude. And now that may be an aircraft that is making sure that the airspace is clear, but it would be a military. My guess is that it's a military craft that is, making sure that the airspace is clear so that these guys can fly in and conduct this big operation. Because, like I said, on April 28th, they hit Philadelphia, they hit New York, they hit several other places as well. Nashville. And if you look at the timestamps, okay, there's Philadelphia.
How high is that craft? The one that we looked at in the white there. How far would that be?
Wait a minute.
Compared to the aircraft, or whatever you want to call them.
Look at this, right in the middle of the screen, right there.
Yeah.
What do you see there?
Why is it white though? Notice the planes all look dark. Yeah, that's another craft there, but sometimes it looks dark, but otherwise it looks white, depending. Is it reflecting light?
Yeah, I've never analyzed these videos. I've just enjoyed the heck out of them. But yeah, you've got this. This would be like an AWACS, early warning aircraft or something, just to make sure that the airspace is clear for them.
Which replaced the U-2s? No, that's like a much lower flying aircraft.
No, you have basically a depending on what aircraft they use, you have the mission battle control aircraft, which is Skyfortress. I think it might be called Skyfortress, which is just coincidentally happened to show up in a Q post here just recently, I believe. Or no, it's in one of the original Q posts talking about what when they did the post about Hillary Clinton being arrested and all of that. Okay. Now this is interesting because here you have this little white dot up here.
Yeah.
And it just disappears. See how it's kind of faded away?
Did it move to the right and become that black dot?
No. No, look at it.
No, that's correct. What the fuck is that?
Could be one of two things. A bird flying really high, but not high enough to get in be a problem for the airplanes. Or it's very high.
Yeah, it looks like it's very high.
And it's something else. And if you want to get into...
It's moving, but notice how fast it's moving though? It's moving quickly. And I don't think planes normally move exactly like that, do they?
Well, in relation to the clouds, it's actually not moving much at all. Look at it. It's really
so the plane's moving and it's slow.
But watch this streak of clouds, this very faint streak of clouds right here. Now, if it was a bird, you would see it changing fairly dramatically, but it doesn't.
No, it's not a bird.
And then it just disappears. It disappears. Actually, there's a little bit of a hazy cloud there. It disappears just briefly behind that. And then you get that flash. That look at that.
Yeah.
You know, we'd call that a lens anomaly, right?
Like swamp gas.
Yeah. And now it appears that anomaly is moving fairly quickly. It's moving to the upper left-hand corner of the screen there and out of view. All right, but wait a minute. Oh, shit. Sorry. I noticed something else. Let's go back here just a sec. Okay, I think I see what's okay. Yeah, no, what I was seeing was the smoke trail from this jet here was not operating at full capacity, so it's leaving kind of a. That happens sometimes. And but wait a minute. Look right between the smoke trails. Got that white dot there again.
That's a strange craft. What is it? It's not a helicopter. That's not a plane, Thumper, surely.
The other thing is
do planes act like that? No.
Well, okay. There could be several reasons why the smoke trail is doing that. And one being is that there's only 30 gallons of smoke oil in those things. All right. Oh, we are at the top of the hour. I didn't even realize we're sitting here watching this video, and I'm looking over and I see Rooster there. So we're kind of looking at things, but there's a message in everything. That is, I guess, is the point here that we're trying to make, is that you just don't know where the messages are. So you've got to be, your head needs to be on a swivel, and you need to be looking for those things that just catch your eye for one reason or another, and then dig a little deeper into it. You may find something, you may not. You just never know. Anyway, I want to say thank you to Vector for joining me tonight. Paul has already bailed out on us here.
He's asleep. Thank you so much. I appreciate everything. Thank you for the forum to speak and for your time.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. Much love from Australia. We love you.
Well, we love you guys as well. I've, back in the days when I was in the Navy and I had my ham radio set up in Hawaii and on Guam, Australia was one of my favorite places to talk to folks, and love you guys as well. So until next time, hopefully you can join us again Wednesday night. We'll have a little bit more to know as what to talk about, if we are able to. If the internet is still alive and well, and the people haven't taken us down,
Thank you, Thumper. Where we go, when we go all.
Absolutely.
Vote Trump.
Absolutely. All right, my friend. You have a great rest of your evening, and we'll forego the flight back to planet Earth since we twiddled away into Rooster's time here, and we'll throw it over to Rooster there. I want to say thank you to everybody out there in live chat. Hope you guys enjoyed tonight's show. It kind of wandered all over the place, but I think you might give me. I did put a link to the article that I was reading in Vote there. If you go through, you have to read it several times. You're going to have to read through that article several times. If you get down to the bottom and it says, wait a second or whatever, just wait there. It will load more in. It's quite a long article. And just keep reading through it because it'll give you a really good, primer on, this whole thing about numbers and number codes and gematria and different things like that. But just keep in mind, it's a code, and you just have to have to really understand it. You have to have the cipher or the key that unlocks the code. But there's enough of it out there that you have more than you know. All right. So good night, everybody. And thank you for joining us on Hyperdrive. Rooster, good evening, my friend.
Hey, good morning to you, sir.
How you doing, buddy?
Well, to best quote FDR's most famous saying, today's day that will live in infamy.
Yeah, it could be. Oh, boy, there's a ton of potential out there, isn't there?
Oh, all I can say is don't expect anything. Just prepare for everything.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh man, it's finally that day. Oh boy.
Well, I remember, on my show in the morning, the AM crew, which I take over right before the, their show goes up to the reset, and then I come in.
Yeah.
But Chano's been doing the countdown every day, and QAG is 17 hours, 52 minutes, 31 seconds. U.S. election clock. Time until the polls close in California.
Yeah.
So,
What post number are we up to now?
We just, it's kind of interesting. 17 hours, 5 minutes, 5 by 5. And just so happened that when I looked up to read that,